Today I'm joined by Sharon Cooke. Sharon does something a little bit different from most people. She's a parenting coach. Welcome, Sharon. Thanks very much for coming along to the show today.
Thanks, Jenny.
Now, your company is called Familyworks.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, what's this all about? What do you do with your work?
Well, Familyworks focuses on supporting parents through those early years. So, you know, whether you're parenting from pregnancy all the way through to school age, that's the sort of gap where we really work.
So parenting as a coach, which is a bit different from a life coach or a business coach, isn't it? But using the same techniques to help people get over a slightly difficult time, is that the idea?
Yeah, that's right. So instead of seeing a family that's broken and needed to be fixed, it's more around supporting them towards a greater capacity, enjoying their family, loving what they're doing as a family. So it's a strengths approach, and a bit like a business coach or a sports coach, we work on where their challenges are and get them towards, you know, just loving what they're doing.
Fantastic. Now, I know you've got a health background and you share a common passion with me, which is brains.
Yep.
But you're specifically interested in baby brains. Why are baby brains so important?
Well, it's an absolutely fascinating area, and the research these days is showing some really interesting things. The thing that takes my interest the most is that with a baby, the love and warmth and responsiveness of a parent towards a baby in those first few months actually grows their brain and wires it up entirely differently. So it wires them up for success. And that's the bit that's so exciting. I think probably we as parents took that for granted. You know, what is the benefit of is connecting with your baby, playing with your baby, these sorts of things. And now we actually can see in science that it makes a huge difference. This baby's born with a brain about 400 grams and goes in 3 years to about 1,100. It pretty much triples in 3 years.
It's a lot of growth.
It's huge. And so through that warm, responsive parenting, we can actually lay down some really important things.
Now, I know when I bump into people who've recently had babies or have small children at home, there's a couple of things I usually notice about them. One is often the black rings under the eyes because they're quite tired, and sometimes they'll share, you know, the difference it's made to their whole lives and some of the challenges they have to cope with, such as crying and other difficult behaviours. How does what you do in your style of work help?
Good question. Look, I find that there's a lot of parents out there that are just surviving. You know, it's just really tough work. So I want to get those families, work with them to move from just surviving to really thriving and delighting in their families. And the two toughies that I come across the most that I've worked in this space a lot, one would be sleep and one would be behaviour. So
is that sleep of the baby or sleep of the parents or both?
Both, absolutely both. You know, when we're sleep deprived, it's really quite torturous, and it really affects the way the baby's brain again develops. So the more sleep they have, the better memory they have, the better performance they have, the more that they're able to reach their milestones. The behaviour changes quite dramatically for a sleeping child. So sleep and behaviour are two spots which I really enjoy working in, and it's probably the two pressure points for most West Australian families.
And I know from your previous work and training that you've got a lot of expertise in that particular area.
Yeah, that's right. So I've been working as a midwife and a child health nurse for about 20 years, so I've got a strong background in all of that. And so I bring with me some of the science and the evidence and the practice of just day in, day out with families.
Sure.
And I take a positive strengths approach to it.
So what you're offering is quite unique.
Yeah.
And do you think it's filling a void which has developed because the way we live today has changed so much? So many families are now more sort of they're smaller units, and we don't always have the extended family that previous generations have enjoyed, you know, with having grandparents on standby or close by to help out whenever there's something that they need help with.
You're right, Jenny. Things are quite different for families these days. I do go back to that well-known saying, it takes a village to raise a child. So it's not about being in a state of crisis and thinking, gee, I can't get support or help unless I'm in that place. It's really getting, bringing in your relatives, bringing in your close friends, bringing in people to support you where you're at. So for me, I love working in that area. And one of the unique things, I guess, about West Australia is it's in quite a baby boom. We had last year we had about 30,000 babies born in Western Australia, and over half of them were born. This is their first child. So there's a lot of young families out there, and a lot of families from overseas, interstate, and a lot of families with parents or extended family that are working. So that's why Familyworks is there to support families.
Fantastic. So we're very fortunate here in Perth to have yourself offering your services as a parenting coach. What about for people living elsewhere around Australia or in New Zealand? Are there other people like yourself offering your type of work?
Well, look, I work, a lot of my work can be done on Skype or on the phone, and so I have Skyped people in China, in a tin shed in a station. It doesn't really matter where you are, so you can connect and you can get support and help through those early years. Yep.
So if people want to contact you and find out more about what services that you offer, what's the best way that they can find you?
I think the best way is probably just through my website. So that's www.familyworks, all one word, .com.au.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show today, Sharon. It's been lovely talking to you, and thank you for sharing your very special work that you do with people.
Thanks, Jenny. That's lovely.
All the best.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And of course, if you want to find out more about what Sharon does with Familyworks, you can go to her website or simply go to thecouch.com.au.